Hello, I'm Tony ESCUETA from Yamaha Corporation of America, and I'm here to show you the new Yamaha Montage M8x. So the Montage M is Yamaha's flagship synthesizer, and a lot of times people are wondering, well, what is the difference between a synthesizer and other types of keyboards? Why do I want a synthesizer? And the answer to this are pretty simple, is that if you want to have any particular type of sound possible for anything that exists in the acoustic world, but create some of your own sounds, create things that don't exist in the natural world, this is why you want a synthesizer. So I'm going to show you everything from the basics of having a very substantial piano sound to play from a 9-foot concert grand piano into other sounds that don't exist in the real acoustic world, whether you want to play realistic acoustic instruments like flutes, bassoons, guitars, drums, all the way to if you want to combine all of those different things so you have a drum beat playing while different keyboard sounds are playing and so on. But this is a great way to take and completely fill your musical palette with all sorts of different sounds and sonic trees. So let's start with the piano sound. The piano sound is probably one of the most important sounds to most people looking for a keyboard because they need to play the piano at some point or another. And the Montage M8x is a great way to start with that, not only because it has those great sounds, but it has a great 88 key weighted keyboard. So everything from the lowest note on the piano all the way to the top notes of the piano, Yamaha's been able to reproduce stunning versions of this particular piano, Yamaha's most expensive acoustic piano, the CFX. Now, not only do you want a great piano sound, but you want a sound that offers a level of expression that gives you the ability to play loud, to play soft, and all of that different dynamic difference in between. So when I play this sound, I want to be able to play that sound soft as well. I want the image of me playing loud and soft and all the different dynamics in between to be reproduced with incredible accuracy, and the Montage allows you to do that. Now, not only do we allow you to reproduce dynamically what's going on the piano, but we've also built other features into the sound that gives you the image of how the piano behaves in its own acoustic environment. So for instance, not only do we have great effects, where you have reverberation that's built in that's like a particular acoustic situation of a small practice room or hall, you can change it to any dynamic environment that you would like. But in addition to that, you also have different behaviors that happen inside of the piano. And one of those is that there are dampers that dampen the strings. And so whenever I play a note, that damper comes up and that allows you to hear that note. And then when I stop playing the note, that damper comes back down on the piano string and stops it from ringing. If there were no dampers in the piano, it'd be like a gigantic harp that would just be like ringing the whole time. So we realized that this moving component in the piano makes a huge difference in the way it sounds when you're playing it, constantly having the strings being damped and undamped. And especially when you get to the upper end of the piano, there are no dampers, those notes just ring, just like this. So you can hear them ringing, but if I were to push my foot on the sustain pedal and undamper all of the other notes in the piano that have those dampers, you would hear the rest of the inside of the acoustic piano actually reverberating in a different way. So this is what it sounds like when the pedal is not down. This is what it sounds like when the pedal is down. You're hearing all the other lower strings in the piano reverberate. Now, why do we do this? Because this is what happens inside an acoustic piano. Yamaha's been an acoustic piano manufacturer since 1900, and we think that not only do we want great piano sounds, but we want piano sounds that behave like pianos behave. And so this is a very interesting, unique, and expressive feature that's in here, that those dampers are constantly changing. As you're playing the piano, you're getting a more accurate reproduction of what goes on inside the piano. So you think, wow, that's a whole lot of detail, what's going on in the acoustic piano. Well, we're really about details and about expression in our musical instruments, and especially in the Montage. So to give you a little bit further idea what I would like to do with this, instead of just playing a piano sound, maybe maybe I'd like to play an electric piano sound. Now when I play this particular electric piano sound, it's a representation of many different years of a particular model of electric pianos and how it was made and what it sounded like. As the years changed, they started putting different rubber parts in it of different hardnesses, and it changed the way the instrument sounded. It also, electronically, the instrument changed. So this particular time-based piano sounded very different in the bottom end and in the top end. But then as we move ahead a couple years to 1973, it sounded a little bit more like this in the bottom end. You hear a lot more bark and pronunciation as opposed to back in 1971. And the upper end, same thing. It spoke differently. In 1975, it sounded more like this. In 1978, it sounded more like this. So very, very different electric pianos, and who would want to carry around 4 different electric pianos? But as we look for different keyboard sounds to play the songs that we love and that we grew up with and that we play whenever we're performing or recording, you're listening to electric pianos from different years and from different eras. So we think it was really important to put all of those different types of sounds into the selections that you have for acoustic and electric piano sounds in the montage. Now, in addition to that, we also know what an electric piano sounds like when you don't plug it in. It sounds like this. And so this noise and this ambient behavior noise is always around. So isn't it important that when you're playing back an electric piano like this, that ambient sound is back there making noise, just as if you were playing that physical instrument in front of you. And maybe you feel like it's a more expressive instrument whenever you are playing this particular electric piano sound and you'd like to hear more of that noise, you can actually go in and just move one of the sliders and increase the amount of noise and the amount of behavior noise so that you feel like this reproduces what it was like to actually play that sound back in 1971. So we go into that type of detail with even the electric piano sounds in the Montage M. Now, in addition to details about traditional keyboard instruments like a piano or an electric piano, we also are very intent on making sure that you have great combinations of traditional sounds too. For instance, being able to accurately reproduce something that is like a piano and electric piano layer. For instance, something like this. A sound that you would hear in a lot of different pop tunes all over the past 3 decades. But this sound also can change so that as you're playing it, I can move one knob and instantly change the sound. And if I don't want to take my hands off the keyboard and move this knob, I'm using a controller that I have down here by my feet, so I can move this knob with my foot. So as I'm playing, I can create that. So imagine changing sounds as you're playing, any sound. So it wouldn't have to be just changing the sound of the electric piano, but maybe I'd like to change what actual sounds are playing. Maybe I want to play an acoustic piano. But then I'd like to add strings behind it, and I just happen to know that when I take this sound and change it, moving the knob does this. Now, of course, I would like to keep my hands on the keys to make that orchestra come in, and I can do that by simply using the pedal. All done while leaving both of my hands on the piano sound just by manipulating one of many controls on the Montage M. So can take traditional keyboard sounds and I can take those sounds and change them in real time as I'm playing. But let's move one step further. Suppose I don't want to be in the keyboard world anymore. I would like to be in the acoustic instrument world of something traditional, like let's say an actual brass instrument. Let's say, for instance, that it's something more along the lines of something like this, where I want to play a brass instrument. And you'll notice this has an acoustic treatment, so I have an actual reverberating hall that I'm playing in. And you can hear the horn reverberating. And this sound changes as I'm playing it and I'm turning this knob. This knob gives me a representation of that brass section playing at mezzo forte or medium volume across any particular range. I can play at a very soft range, those horn players basically playing as soft as they can play. And then I also have a representation of them playing with almost a vein popping out of their forehead. And then I have everything in between. And so the Montage M will blend Now this is great and very expressive, but once again, I would like to take this and not use my hand to move that knob, and I can simply use my foot pedal here, and I can create that same So I have a very dynamic and controllable brass section all at my fingertips and using my foot to change that dynamic. But let's go a little bit further and let's say I would like to add some strings in here as well. So I'm going to have the brass section take a back seat and play soft, and I'm going to put some strings in here right now. But then you can hear the brass way at the back because the conductor has told them, hey, be quiet for now. But now I'm going to use my foot I can also add other instruments. So the Montage M allows you to layer and stack multiple different sounds. So this, I have my brass section, I have my string section. The only thing that's missing is for me to have a little percussion punctuation, and I can add a timpani in here and have that play only when I play in a certain area of the keyboard. So I can play that soft strings, play the brass orchestra behind it, and have complete control of the dynamics the whole time. So all of this is just using a few of the preset sounds in the Montage M. So obviously there's a multitude of sounds inside the Montage M, and so once you know what sounds you want to go to, what sounds you want to make part of your musical lexicon, what would you want to do with them next? Well, you'd probably want to record. So inside the Montage M, there is a song recorder, there is a pattern recorder that allows you to put different ideas together. You want to put together different drum loops. There's all sorts of tools in here so that you can take music and take the music that you're making with the Montage and record it so you can play it back. In addition to that, the Montage M comes with a copy of Cubase, a recording software made by Steinberg, so you actually can get involved in computer recording out of the box when you buy a Montage M. So if you're new to it, you get an excellent workstation DAW to work with for your computer with Steinberg's Cubase. And in addition to that, there is also a download code for the Yamaha VST of the Montage M called ESP. And this allows you to have a virtual version of the Montage M in your computer And it also works, since you can move information back and forth between the keyboard and the computer, it also works as the editor. So connectivity is a big part of Montage M also. In addition, you can also connect your tablet. You can connect your iPad, your iPhone, and you can use a sound sharing app called SoundMondo, which will allow you to share sounds with people all over the world that are using the Montage M. So, in summary, getting around on the Montage M is a really, really easy thing to do because we've made it easy to navigate around the keyboard to all the places that you need to get to while you're playing. So there are a series of buttons that make it very easy to do that. There's a live set button, which allows you to go to your favorite sounds and set them up in your own set, as if you were writing a set list and you were playing in a live performance, and I can instantly go from one sound to the other by just touching the screen. Also, even though the instrument may be named a certain instrument name or sound name, if you would like, in the live set, you can actually name that sound, the name of your song, or whatever it is, that information that needs to be there, so that you remember what that particular sound is for within live set. You can offset volumes, all those things. Live set, very, very important, and an easy way to set up your sounds for your live gig or your performance in church or in a school, anything that you need to get to your sounds instantly and want to be able to change at the touch of a button, or in this case, a touch of the screen. In addition to that, as I'm looking at the sounds, I can touch the performance button and it shows me everything on the screen I need to know about the sound, how the sound is made up, the levels of different things in the sound. And if I just want to find a sound in the keyboard, I can use a feature called category search, and that's another button, and that allows me to look for the sounds according to what type of sound category, or there's also a subcategory. I might want to look for the different type of string sounds, but then maybe I want just pizzicato string or just ensemble string sounds, and it allows me to look for all of those different variations, and I can easily touch the screen or turn a knob to scroll through those different options. In addition to that, if I want to go and tweak my own sounds and I want to change something, I actually have a navigation button that allows me to avoid going through all sorts of complicated edit menus, and it gives me a nice picture menu when I hit navigation, so I can go immediately to pictures for waveform or pictures for the controllers. Makes it very easy to get into the idea of manipulating the sound very quickly. And in essence, there's so many different sounds inside the Montage M. How could anybody possibly know how to play all of them? What's really great is you can also go into every one of the sounds, and Yamaha has provided a demonstration of every one of those sounds with this audition button that allows you to hear how we think that sound can be best representation musically just by pushing this button. So all of those things make it easy to get around. Knobs, sliders, different switches, all the controllers you would expect on a synthesizer, so you can have a very, very expressive and unique musical instrument in the Montage M. Thank you again for joining me. I'd like to thank the folks at Palen Music for having me come here to demonstrate the Montage M. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and let's go to any of those Palen Music locations and check out the Montage M for yourself. I'm Tony ESCUETA from Yamaha, and thanks for joining me.